On warm spring days, we would leave school to discover our home. Setting out on this adventure by walking downtown, looking through the shop windows, wondering what was in store. Stopping to look out at the Grand. To the north, we could see water flowing over the dam, trains being fast above. Stopping to take a breath. To the south, we could see canoes paddling down the river, birds flying high above. Continuing our journey around town, strolling through Lions Park, reminiscing about childhood, walking upstream beside the nip, the Barker's Bush. Hiking the trails created by the footsteps that walk before us, leaving footsteps to follow for those who come after. When we reached the top of the hill, we took a deep breath and admired the beauty surrounding us. We pondered how we were so far away from taking a breath of fresh air in our home, and how for us to settle here and claim this space we pushed beings and spirits away from their land, and we wondered, at what cost do we call this community our own? Stories heard and stories told, stories give and stories hold, stories build and stories mold, cultures change as stories unfold. They will see my pace and call me lazy. They will see my sensitivity and tell me I'm unstable. They will see my behaviors and call me a freak. They will pick up on my habits and tell me I'm annoying. They will see my lack of emotion and think I'm dead inside. And they will come to understand me as being crazy, mad, and insane, as being not all there. And yet, they will appreciate my creativity, praise my passion, be amazed by my memory, admire my uniqueness, and be intrigued by the way I see the world. Every day I exist, I am all here. And every day people dissect my neurodivergence and let me know my body does not belong unless others can benefit. I lay here in bed, unable to move, for 16 hours a day, knowing your average human only requires 8 hours of rest, knowing I am missing out on what I really want to do, knowing even when I'm at my best, I will never catch up to my mother or sisters or friends. I call in sick to work, questioning how sick I really am, since this sickness is not physical, since this disability is not visible, in the form of a broken leg or runny nose. It feels real to me. Call me crazy, but it feels real to me. I vomit and I shake and I struggle to breathe. I question whether I should listen to my body telling me to take a day of rest, whether I should listen to the thoughts in my head telling me I'd be better off dead, whether I should listen to everyone else surrounding me telling me to suck it up, I look fine. My mind tells me if I can survive another day, then I did good. And I did good. And I pushed, and I pushed, and I pushed through. Coming to love myself in this weird disabled body may be the hardest thing I ever do. My body was not built for an institution, put aside spaces to be contained, complacent to roles set in place. My tongue was not contrived for royal language, stuttering the twisted imperial speech separated into categories, acceptable or disability. My brain was not assembled for school, standardized tests across the nation, intelligence equated to numbers and sameness. My skin was not formulated for the university, researching to fulfill the academy's needs, specimen observed as an object in field of study. My face was not brewed for artwork, painted upon canvas through the gaze portrayal of pleasure and grace. My feet were not shaped for the military. Brave heroes execute the country's duties, kill for patriotism and return with PTSD. My spirituality was not discovered through religion. Salaries placed on offertory plates, prayers incorporated rules and regulations. My hands were not constructed for corporations. Exploited labor for economic purposes, increased income for slave owners and CEOs. My sexuality was not designed for marriage. Validity exclusive to traditional ways constituting restrictions of love and approval of rape. My lungs were not concocted for the police, ordered to restrain from breathing, protecting privileges, and criminalizing differences. My image was not developed for the media, plastered across front page headlines for profit, reported for being suspicious and exotic. My bones were not conceived for the courthouse. Verdict of precedent before justice is seen, debating normalcy of deviance and victim blaming. My heart was not fabricated for prison. Sentenced to uniforms changed for correction, mugshots and confinement replaced community connection. My stomach was not produced for charity. Hungry belly is seen as helplessly needy, poor being subsidized by hierarchical and pretentious giving. My mind was not made for psychiatry, evaluated for abnormalities and instructed to cure the crazy, surrounded by white walls and concrete ceilings. My blood was not manufactured for the hospital. Doctors give diagnoses with pharmaceuticals treated with science and plastic bottles of chemicals. My buttocks was not invented for museums. Entertaining freak show put out on display exhibited fascination and animalistic traits. My identity was not created to be governed. Boxes and borders patrolled by the colonial nation, state of mind dominated by conformity and limitations. My body was not built for an institution. I refuse to perform the roles imposed. I cannot fit inside your definition of worth. Institutions cannot fix what is not broken. I am not broken. I am healing from capitalist legislation. I am resilient, narrating my stories, living my life. Break through the bars containing me. Break through the chains restraining me. Break through the borders blocking me. I create my art, I sing my songs, I dance my dances. My abilities are my gifts. My knowledges are my passions. My wealth is my immunity. Institutions are not built for survival. Institutions are not built for resistance. My body was built for defiance. The child in me was a dandelion, bright yellow, fitting into neither pink nor blue norms of the gender binary. The thing about weeds is they are only weeds if they are considered to be growing unwanted. The queer child in me with grass stains and skin knees was made to believe that they too were growing unwanted. Cut down and picked on to make smaller, excluded from bouquets of flowers. I never did fit in with the girls, nor did I fit in with the boys either. The grifter, shapeshifter, wandering and wondering what garden I would be able to call my home. Daydreamer, wanting and pondering about the future I would one day know. It is a fact that more than half of transgender and non-binary youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. Remembering everyone that has said anything queerphobic to me and holding inside my bone skin strip. Believing that one day it gets better when I am older and move to the city to finally be queer because queer folks don't belong in the country. That's just not something folks can be here. Queer suicides normalized. I was traumatized. We need to realize we can support trans lives and stop the lies they are fed to believe. It is a fact. The trans youth who are allowed to use their chosen name experience a 65% decrease in suicide attempts. It is a fact. The trans youth who have their pronouns respected by all or most people in their lives attempted suicide at half the rates of those who did not. Call me a flower, don't call me a weed. Use they, them pronouns refer to me, not inanimate pronouns as I am living. It took years. Years of slowly coming out. Years of slowly coming into myself. By the end of my high school years, I had built up enough confidence to love myself. But I still struggled to love my queer self. I wanted to be the perfect ally, but still wishing I wasn't queer myself. The first Pride I ever attended was Toronto World Pride 2014, when I was 18 years old. That day was a day I'll never forget. I hung out with a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend and chatted on this apartment lawn as we all drank and smoked weed. The deep connection I felt with these genderqueer beauties who were proud to be transforming. This was my first time meeting people who I could envision myself to be. It is a fact that having at least one accepting adult can reduce the risk of a suicide attempt among LGBTQ youth by 40%. I found ways to grow through the cracks of pavement, found ways to grow in a garden amongst flowers planted, found ways to grow even when I was made to feel unwanted. To make sure my presence was bold and known that I would continue to exist in this genderqueer body of mine, coloring outside the lines of what is acceptable. Let worlds of rainbows shine through my sweat and tears. The lion in me roared as I continued to survive, found ways to thrive. I stayed alive. I was 22 when I finally cut my hair short again, came out as genderqueer on my Instagram, living halfway around the world in a supportive community. I was terrified but felt like I was finally setting myself free. From over a decade of shame I had held inside my body, me, living proudly as non-binary is me giving a hug to my childhood self, holding them in my arms tight, letting them know everything is going to turn out alright. Not in a it gets better way, but in a you are fucking resilient, fierce, and beautiful for existing way. It is a fact. The 67% transitioning people thought about suicide pre-transition and only 3% post-medical transition. I'm standing here center stage more than my wildest dreams believed I could ever achieve. I am alive. I am present. I am here. Sure as fuck, I am queer. I am queer in a country where my rural roots ground me, creating community so all rural queer youth can feel a sense of belonging, without feeling as though they must leave and head to the city. You can take the queer kid out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the queer kid. You can't take the country out of me. And now my wildest dreams are that every queer youth can have stories of happy queers, so they can believe their life is beautiful because of their queerness, not despite their queerness. It is a fact. The transgender youth who have fully socially transitioned to their gender and have been supported in doing so do not have elevated depressive symptoms compared to everyone else. Let the lion in me roar as I transition into a white flower full of seeds. Let the wind pick me up and carry me. Let me fly in the sky and land wherever the wind takes me. You may bury me, but I will grow again, bring new life, let my wishes fly high. Let there be a garden of wildflowers who were once made to believe that they were weeds. Let them grow and make their home together. Let them be each other's family. Let them nourish the butterflies who have transformed through metamorphosis. Let them nourish the bees making sweet honey. Let them enrich the soil through their gifts uniquely. Let none of their petals be love-me-nots. Let them thrive. And all the ways I dream of a future where trans lives are celebrated and embraced, where trans youth feel at home in their bodies, and I, my wildest dream, that I could survive in all glory, genderqueer beyond belief. And I pray to thank God for the gifts they have given me, queerness being the most beautiful gift of them all. Grasping on to my confidence, I trembled in my shoes, my knees shook, thundering heart, water falls from my eyes, my body is the storm. Breathe in, breathe out, let me embrace this moment. Feel all of my emotions as part of the human experience. I plant a seed in my pocket, tender it with patience and kindness, growing ever so slowly, growing ever so surely. I know who I am, and I am not afraid anymore. Branching out to the sun, shine so brightly. Reflect what you know to be true. Connection and community, strengthening our roots. Tangling in conflict, strengthening our bond. My body is a garden. I reflect what I know to be true. Inside me lives the storm. Mountains of madness, deserts of desire, trenches of terror, plateaus of pleasure, fjords of fury, coasts of courage, volcanoes of vigor, seas of sorrow, solitude separating isolation. Within me, I find contentment. Within me, I find a friend. Kingdom of joy for my body. My glorious, trans-disabled body is a world unto themselves, grown into my confidence, embedded in what I embody, opening a door of possibilities, coming out of a closet of shame, finding a room to rest, cooking in a kitchen, feeding my soul, playing and learning and reflecting what I know to be true. My body is a home.